My sister let her toddler wreck and destroyed my entire gaming setup, then blamed me for not baby-proofing my house and refused to pay me back. Her boyfriend came over in secret to give me money. She found out and now thinks something's going on. I, 27F, live alone in a 2-bedroom apartment. One of the rooms is my office/gaming setup. I do part-time remote IT work and also stream a few days a week. I've been slowly building that setup since college. Triple monitors, expensive gaming chair, LED keyboard, custom PC tower with parts I saved up for. The whole thing is worth about $6,000 altogether, probably more if you count the software, peripherals, and custom desk. It's the one thing I really treat myself with. My sister, 29F, is a stay-at-home mom. She has a 3-year-old son and a boyfriend, Todd, that she's constantly on and off with. She's crashed at my place before when they fought, and every time I've tried to set boundaries, it turns into a guilt trip about how family helps family, and how I'll understand when I have kids. Anyway, this mess started last week. She showed up at my place out of nowhere with her son in tow. She'd had a fight with Todd, again, and needed a place to stay for the night. I wasn't thrilled about it, but I let her in. I made it clear my office door stays shut. That room is off limits, and her kid needs to stay in the living room or the guest room. She nodded, but I knew she wasn't really listening. I should have trusted my gut. Next morning, I went out for 20 minutes to pick up coffee and groceries. When I got back, she was sitting on my couch on the phone, barely looking up. I walked down the hall and immediately felt something was wrong. My office door was wide open. I walk in and the entire setup was trashed. The desk was sticky. My keyboard was missing half the keys. One of the monitors had been pulled forward and cracked right across the screen. My chair had weird stains on it. The tower, the actual PC, was on its side on the floor, fans still running, and there was a half-full sippy cup spilled on the desk next to it. There were fingerprints, crayons, God knows what else on everything. My heart just dropped. I walked back out and asked her what happened. She was still on the phone and shrugged like it was no big deal. Said she only looked away for a few minutes. I told her I had specifically said that room was off limits. She had the nerve to say I should have baby-proofed it better and locked the door if it was that important. That's when I really lost it. I didn't scream or anything, but I told her this wasn't a cheap laptop or TV. It was my entire work and hobby setup, and that it's not my job to child-proof a place that isn't meant for kids. She started getting defensive, said it was just an accident, and that it's insane. I care more about my toys than my nephew. I told her that's not what this is about. It's about respect. I took pictures of everything, documented the damage, and shut the door. Once she left later that day, I started looking into repair costs. 2 of the monitors are done for. The keyboard is probably a write-off. The tower might have water damage, I'm not sure yet, but it's not booting properly and keeps shorting. I've got a backup laptop I can work on for now, but I've already missed 2 scheduled streams and had to cancel with a sponsor. I sent her a breakdown of the damage and a Venmo request for $4,200, not even the full cost. I tried to account for depreciation, used prices, and only included the major stuff. She left me on red. A few hours later, I got a long, guilt-trippy text about how I'm trying to bankrupt a single mom and how I shouldn't put a dollar amount on family. I told her this isn't about money, it's about being accountable. She said I was being ridiculous and that I should have just forgiven her since it was her kid and kids don't know better. I haven't replied since then. I've been sitting with it for a couple days and honestly, I'm still fuming. The worst part? My parents called me after she told them, and they're taking her side. Said I was being cold and materialistic and taking things too far. My mom even said, "He's just a baby, you're a grown woman, let it go." I just can't wrap my head around how nobody's acknowledging how careless she was. She let her kid wander into a room that was clearly closed off, clearly full of expensive electronics, and now I'm expected to just eat the cost? Like it's my fault for not living like I run a daycare? This wasn't even a he bumped a TV kind of thing. My entire PC setup was wrecked. The nerve to say I should have locked the door. That's not a thing people do inside their own homes when they live alone. I didn't expect to have to childproof for a kid that shouldn't have even been near that room in the first place. Now I'm getting calls from a couple aunts telling me to be the bigger person and just move on because family fights like this are embarrassing. My cousin even told me to apologize so we can all get back to normal. I'm seriously considering going no contact for a while. I've already started the process of diagnosing the PC damage and looking into repair replacement options, but it's going to take a while and a ton of money either way. No one is helping, no one is taking me seriously. I'm out thousands of dollars and I'm still being painted like the villain because I'm not pretending it didn't happen. I've never posted here before, but I'm seriously at a loss. I'm pissed, broke, and apparently the dramatic one now. So, Aita for expecting her to pay for the damage, or at least act sorry. Update 1. So it's been a few days since the whole thing with my setup getting destroyed. I posted the original breakdown, sent her the Venmo request, got guilt-tripped, and then ignored. That's basically how things stayed for about 4 days. No apology, no offer to help, no check-in, radio silence. I was honestly trying to let it sit for a bit before I made any decisions. But in the meantime, I was using my old laptop for work and bouncing between Discord calls with people trying to help me figure out which components might be salvageable. It's looking like the tower itself might be toast. The sippy cup thing was worse than I thought. The liquid seeped down behind the motherboard. Not to mention 2 monitors being cracked and the rest of the desk being so sticky and warped I might just junk it. It's depressing as hell walking into that room. Anyway, I was about to leave to grab lunch when someone buzzed at my door. It was Todd. I hadn't seen or talked to him since the last time he tagged along with my sister to help carry furniture months ago. I was confused why he was there, and honestly, I didn't really want to deal with more family drama in person. I thought maybe my sister had sent him to talk me into backing off or something. Instead, he was holding a white envelope and looked uncomfortable as hell. First thing he says is something like, "I know this is weird, but I felt like I needed to do something." He told me he only just found out what happened, not from my sister, but from their kid. Apparently the toddler kept repeating something like, "We broke the computers at Auntie's house." And Todd asked what he meant. My sister had told him it was no big deal, and made it sound like I was just being dramatic over a cracked screen or something. He said he didn't believe her, and when he heard I'd been sending requests for money, and she was dodging me, he decided to come see me himself. He handed me the envelope. Inside was $3,000 in cash. He told me it was everything he could pull together without pulling from rent or bills. He said he knows it's not the full amount, but he wanted to help, and that it was for repairs, not for guilt. I was kind of stunned. I didn't even know what to say. I told him I wasn't comfortable taking that much cash from him, especially since this wasn't even his mess to begin with. He just said, "I live with her. I've seen what she does. She'll never own up to anything unless someone else is on fire." He said she's had a pattern of ruining people's stuff and then blaming the situation or the people around her. Apparently, she let their kid spill grape juice on someone's wedding dress last year and tried to claim the friend should have hung it higher. I didn't even know about that. It tracks though. I tried to push the envelope back, but he wouldn't take it. Said it was better in my hands than sitting in his drawer while she keeps pretending it's all no big deal. Then he left. I hadn't even closed the door before I got a notification on my phone. A bunch of texts from my sister. I didn't even have to open them to know what tone they were in, all caps. Long ones. Multiple in a row. She somehow found out Todd had come over and was livid. Full-on meltdown mode. Accusing me of manipulating her boyfriend. Saying I only care about money and that I'm trying to ruin their relationship. She said I crossed the line and was flirting with her man behind her back just to get him on my side. I'm sorry the guy came over, gave me money for her mess, and left. That's it. I didn't even text him. I had zero contact with him until the second he showed up. She also said something about how she was going to make sure the whole family knows what kind of person you really are, whatever that means. I tried to respond once short and neutral, just saying I didn't invite him, didn't ask for the money, and had no idea he was even coming. She never responded. But later that night, I started getting notifications from Facebook. A few relatives had messaged me. One aunt left a passive-aggressive comment on an old photo of mine saying, "Family doesn't treat family like this." Another one messaged me and said I was being toxic and jealous of my sister's life and needed to leave her relationship alone. So I guess she's already gone full PR damage control. I wouldn't be shocked if she told them I begged Todd for money or seduced him or who knows what. And people believe it because she's loud and plays the victim well. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here out thousands of dollars, dealing with fried equipment, and now apparently being painted as a homewrecker because I accepted money I didn't even ask for. I haven't posted anything publicly about this because I really didn't want it to get worse, but I'm starting to feel like I might have to defend myself. It's getting ridiculous. I haven't spoken to her again since that meltdown text. Todd hasn't reached out either. I still have the envelope in a drawer because I honestly don't even know if I should keep it. I mean, yeah, I could definitely use it, but now I feel like if I spend it, she's going to say it proves I used him or something. It's not fair. She destroyed my stuff and refuses to take any responsibility, but I'm the one getting dragged for accepting help that wasn't even hers to offer. I feel like I'm losing my mind here. This whole thing escalated way past what it should have. It wasn't just about a broken PC anymore. Now it's some family-wide circus where I'm the bad guy because I didn't just shut up and take it. I don't know if I should return the money or cut her off entirely or say nothing and just let it all die down. I know people will say, just go no contact, but it's harder when your family is messy and interconnected and people constantly insert themselves. I don't want to make this bigger than it already is, but I also refuse to sit here while she trashes me to everyone like I'm some snake who stole her man just to get money. It's beyond insulting. Anyway, that's where things are at. I'm tired. I'm broke. And now I'm the villain in a story I didn't even start. What would you do? Keep the money? Update 2. I honestly didn't think this mess could spiral worse than it already had, but clearly I underestimated how deep my sister is willing to dig to keep herself looking innocent. So, after the last post, I went quiet for a bit, just to breathe. I didn't respond to any more Facebook messages, didn't reply to my sister's texts, and didn't even touch the envelope Todd gave me. I shoved it into a drawer and figured I'd deal with it later when my brain wasn't fried. I just wanted space. That didn't happen. My mom started calling and leaving voicemails almost daily, not even asking how I was doing or checking in. It was all dramatic crying and guilt tripping. You're tearing the family apart. I raised you better than this. Why are you trying to ruin your sister's relationship? As if I went out of my way to seduce her boyfriend for a cash donation. Like that's something I'm capable of or interested in doing. I finally picked up the phone when my dad called, just because he doesn't usually get involved unless things are seriously going sideways. He wasn't angry, more awkward, and weirdly formal. He said something like, "You should have just told us you were seeing Todd." That caught me completely off guard. I asked him what he was even talking about, and he sounded genuinely confused that I was denying it. That's when he let it slip that my sister told them I had invited Todd over weeks ago, and we'd been hanging out behind her back. I actually laughed at first because of how insane that sounded, but then it hit me that's what everyone believes. That's why I've been getting all the cryptic messages and side eyes on Facebook. She didn't just say Todd dropped off money. She told everyone that we've been sneaking around, and I invited him over the day her kid wrecked my stuff like it was some secret plan. So I started digging. I remembered I had a security camera set up in my hallway outside my apartment door. It's mostly for deliveries, but it's helped in the past when packages went missing. I pulled the footage from the last 2 months and scanned through anything that showed Todd at my door. Guess what I found? He had been over before once, but not alone. He came with my sister. This was a few months ago when I needed help carrying in a new desk for my setup. They were both in the hallway, both in the room, which means they both knew that my office door locked from the inside. So when my sister claimed she didn't realize she needed to baby-proof because she didn't know the door had a lock, that was a straight-up lie. She knew. She just didn't care. That wasn't even the biggest thing. I scrolled through my texts with Todd. There's literally nothing there until the day he showed up with the envelope. No messages, no calls, no sneaking around. I took screenshots of all of it and put together a little folder just in case this blew up further, not to post online, just to have for myself. Then I reached out to Todd and asked him straight up, "Did she tell people I invited you over and we've been talking behind her back?" He took a while to respond, then basically said, "Yeah, that's how she made it sound," and that he was sorry it got out of control, but asked me not to involve him because things were already tense at home. I didn't push him further. I already knew enough. At that point I was done being quiet. I didn't want to post anything public, but I have a close friend story on Instagram that only my cousins and a few friends can see. I uploaded a quick little update there, just the screenshot of the security cam with the date and a short caption like, "Just for context, in case the story's getting twisted." No names, no rants. Just a little nudge to let people know there's more to the situation. One of my cousins messaged me not even 20 minutes later, asking what was going on. I explained everything to her, how I didn't invite Todd, how I had no clue he was coming over, how I've never even texted him before that day, and how he literally just showed up to do what my sister refused to. She was shocked. She told me that my sister's been going around telling everyone I manipulated her man into giving me money and have been secretly trying to steal him for weeks. She even told our aunt that Todd and I had some emotional connection, and that's why I didn't care about the broken setup. What the hell is that even supposed to mean? Now more cousins are DMing me asking questions, some of them completely flipping their tone from earlier. One even said, if this is true, she's lost her mind. But of course, some others are still team sister. I got a message from another relative who said I'm weaponizing technology to humiliate a struggling mom, and that I'm being calculating and vindictive. I haven't responded to any of them. Now my sister is spiraling again. She posted something vague on Facebook like, some people will twist anything to ruin your happiness, and another story with a crying emoji and a selfie of her kid sleeping. I know she's trying to get sympathy because the cousin who messaged me told me she's saying I'm bullying her online and using tech tricks to make her look bad. At this point, I'm tired. This isn't just a case of a kid breaking a computer anymore. This is full-blown gaslighting, reputation trashing, and social manipulation. I haven't posted anything public. I haven't exposed any screenshots beyond the people closest to me, but she's out here acting like I'm plotting some evil campaign to ruin her life. And what kills me is my parents are still pressuring me to fix it. My mom called again this morning saying she was heartbroken and that I don't understand how fragile your sister's mental state is. I get it. She's overwhelmed. She's got a toddler and a failing relationship, but I'm not her punching bag. I'm not her backup plan, and I'm not going to let her wreck my stuff and my name and just sit here like it's normal. I didn't want this drama. I let her stay over when she had nowhere else to go. I trusted her in my home. I let her kid exist around thousands of dollars of equipment because I thought she'd be watching him. And now I'm the one being shunned by half the family and treated like some tech witch, seducing her man for hard drives and vengeance. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I've got the receipts, I've got the footage. I haven't gone nuclear with it, but if she keeps running her mouth, I might not have a choice. I'm just trying to keep my head down, rebuild my setup, and make sure nobody else gets access to my life like that again. I've changed the locks, and I'm thinking about locking down my socials too, because I don't trust anyone anymore. Update 3. I wish I was making this up. I really do. I had already accepted the fact that my sister was fine with trashing my stuff, lying to our family, and acting like I was some desperate homewrecker. I had already made peace with half the family turning on me. But this latest stunt? No warning, no shame, just pure chaos. It started around 9 p.m. a few nights ago. I was sitting on the couch unwinding with a show when someone started banging on my door. Not knocking, full-on pounding like something was on fire. I checked the peephole. And it was her. My sister. She looked a mess. No coat, mascara streaked, holding her kid on one hip and a stuffed animal in the other. I opened the door cautiously, and before I could say anything, she shoved past me and dropped the toddler onto the couch like he was a bag of groceries. He looked confused but didn't cry. Then she turned around, said something along the lines of, "You're the favorite, you fix everything anyway, you take him," and just walked back out the door. I was frozen. I didn't even process what was happening at first. I grabbed my keys and followed her to the hallway, asking what she meant, what she was doing. She didn't even look back. She just mumbled something I couldn't hear and disappeared down the stairs. Then I tried calling her and realized her number was disconnected. Not blocked, disconnected. I had no idea where she went or what she planned to do. I didn't even know if she had her car or if she was walking around with nowhere to go. All I had was her kid, a 3-year-old, who had just been dumped in my living room, like I was some emergency daycare service. I brought him into the kitchen, gave him something light to eat, and turned on a cartoon. He was calm, surprisingly, like this wasn't his first time being passed around in the middle of adult drama. That made me angrier than anything. He's a toddler. He didn't ask for any of this, and now I was stuck babysitting in the middle of a family civil war I never started. After about 15 minutes of sitting there in silence trying to figure out what the hell just happened, I called Todd. I didn't want to, but I had no other number to reach her. He picked up sounding half asleep, and I told him straight up, "Your girlfriend just dumped your kid on me and left." His first reaction was, "Wait, what?" Long story short, he said she stormed out earlier after another fight and said she was going somewhere I'm actually appreciated. He assumed she meant her parents' place. I told him, nope, she showed up here, left the kid, and disappeared. He didn't know where she went either. Then he told me that earlier that day, she had been threatening to move out and let someone else raise the kid since she's the villain now. That's when it hit me, this wasn't a tantrum. This was a calculated guilt trip. She dumped her kid on me to make some kind of point. Like, you want to act like you're better than me? Let's see how well you do with my life. And honestly, I was furious, but I wasn't about to take it out on the kid. He didn't do anything. So I let him fall asleep on the couch, moved him to the guest bed, and stayed up the rest of the night keeping my phone near me in case she came back. She didn't. The next morning, I made him breakfast, changed him into the extra clothes she left in his little backpack, which she at least had the sense to bring, and texted Todd again. No response. I called, straight to voicemail. I didn't know where else to go, and I wasn't about to drag a toddler around the city on a guessing mission, so I made a decision I never thought I'd have to make. I called CPS. I didn't file a report, I just explained the situation. I'm not the kid's guardian, his mother abandoned him on my doorstep, and I don't know if he's going to be picked up or left here indefinitely. They took my information and asked if the child was safe and being cared for. I said yes for now. They said they'd try to contact the mother first before escalating anything further. Not even an hour later, there's screaming outside my door. She came back. I don't know how she found out I contacted CPS, but I guess they must have called her or left a voicemail because she was losing it, screaming that I was trying to steal her baby, accusing me of calling the state on her, saying I was trying to set her up so I could replace her. She was slamming her fist on my door over and over while her kid, her actual kid, was still asleep in my guest room. I refused to open the door. I told her through the intercom that she needed to calm down and leave or I'd call the police. That just made her louder. A neighbor came out and tried to defuse it, but she started yelling at them too, saying the whole building was turning against her and that no one supports moms anymore. It was like watching someone spiral in real time. I ended up calling the non-emergency police line. They showed up pretty quick since it wasn't the first noise complaint they've had from my building. They didn't arrest her, just talked her down enough to get her out of the hallway. Todd finally texted me later that evening apologizing for everything and saying he was on his way to get the kid. I didn't ask for details. I just handed the little guy over when he got there, packed up with snacks and a bag of clean clothes. Since then, I've changed the locks. I've added a second deadbolt and updated all my smart home permissions. I've removed her as an emergency contact. I've started looking into legal options too, not because I want custody or anything, but because if she pulls a stunt like this again, I want a record of everything. I'm documenting texts, calls, timestamps, security footage, the whole thing. I'm done trying to reason with her. I'm done trying to convince my family I didn't do anything wrong. If they still want to believe I seduced her boyfriend for money or made up this entire thing for attention, that's on them. What matters now is protecting my space, my life, and myself. Final update. So, here we are. This is the last time I'm posting about this nightmare because I'm finally done. Done with the drama, done with the lies, and done with people pretending they don't know what's really going on. After the CPS incident, you know, when my sister left her toddler on my doorstep and then came back screaming like I was trying to kidnap her, things did not get better. If anything, they went nuclear. A few family members reached out to me, but not to check if I was okay or thank me for taking care of the kid. No, it was all about scolding me. Apparently, I was the problem for involving authorities, for breaking up the family and making everything worse, like I had some secret agenda to ruin my sister's life or something. At that point, I stopped answering calls and texts from most of them. I only stayed in touch with my dad because honestly, he's the only one who even tries to be neutral, and one cousin who has been quietly supportive but keeping her distance. But here's where it gets really wild. I found out through that cousin, who's still in touch with my sister's circle, that my sister had been spinning a whole new web of lies. She told everyone, including my parents and some extended family, that I loaned her the gaming setup, which is not true. I own every piece of that setup. I saved up for years to build it. I never lent it to her or anyone. She also painted me as some kind of greedy monster demanding donation money for her kid's mess, instead of taking responsibility for her own choices. According to her version, I was trying to squeeze cash out of her and ruin her financially. I couldn't believe how far she was willing to go to rewrite reality, but it didn't stop there. Todd, her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, now finally snapped. After everything blew up and he saw how my sister had been manipulating everyone, he told me he was done. He admitted that she had told people he was sleeping with me, which is absolutely false. We never had anything beyond a few awkward conversations, and all of that was after the whole destruction incident. It was a lie she spread to try to discredit me and make me look like some homewrecker. Todd said he was tired of being dragged into her mess and used as a scapegoat every time she screwed something up, so he broke up with her. No fights, no drama, just done. That was a relief. I was sick of all the whispered accusations and the guilt by association. But for my sister, it was the beginning of a downward spiral. She started posting cryptic things on Facebook, the typical vague posts about betrayal, family drama, and how she should have known better than to trust blood. She accused me of turning her child against her, which is beyond messed up because I never tried to turn the kid against her. I just kept him safe when she wasn't around. The biggest bombshell came a couple weeks ago. I found out she tried to file a small claims lawsuit against me. Yes, she actually went to court demanding I return the $3,000 Todd gave me. She claimed it was a loan and that I was trying to defame her by sharing our text messages with family and friends. At first, I was just shocked. Like, who thinks suing their own sister over something like this will make them look good? But then I remembered everything she's done up to this point, and honestly, it made sense that she'd try some last-ditch legal threat. I didn't panic. I got organized. I gathered every receipt, every text, and documented every phone call and interaction. I even went to a lawyer to get advice on how to defend myself and countersue if necessary. I was ready to show the court exactly who was telling the truth. I also contacted CPS and asked them to provide documentation that they had been involved and that there were concerns about her neglect and behavior. My lawyer said that was a strong defense because it showed I acted in good faith and concern for the child's safety. Once she realized I was prepared, she backed off. I never got a court date. No official lawsuit was filed. Instead, she deleted all her social media and quietly moved out of state to live with some distant aunt. I don't know if she's trying to restart her life or just run away from the mess she made. At this point, I don't care. I blocked her, her boyfriend, ex now, and several family members who were enabling her behavior. I'm not interested in playing middleman for a family that chose to side with someone who broke into my space, destroyed my property, lied about me to everyone, and tried to drag my reputation through the mud. My dad still checks in, and I'm grateful for that, but even he's keeping some distance because the family drama drained all of us. As for the gaming setup, I rebuilt it piece by piece. It wasn't cheap or easy, but I'm back where I was, better than before in some ways. The office door is now locked with 2 deadbolts, and I've installed cameras that record everything. Not because I want to be paranoid, but because I finally realized some people only respect boundaries when there are consequences. Thanks to everyone who gave advice and support through all this. I'm finally free. The setup is rebuilt, the door stays locked, and my peace is finally expensive enough that no one gets in for free again.